Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
Hope everybody is doing well out there. So, checking up on the silver story, we see silver has jumped 7% as the Reddit traders try to squeeze play with the metal.
Yes, I was hoping for a bigger jump, but I'll take what we get.
Yeah, so right now, the price of silver surged higher on Monday morning as Reddit-fueled boom in highly shorted stocks appears to be spilling over into the metals market. The fact is that it's two completely different things to have silver in your hand or to have a paper certificate. Because the bottom line fact is, if everybody went to withdraw what's supposedly there, it wouldn't be there. It's just like cash in the bank.
Yeah, and there are certain individuals that know these things, but they don't exactly share the truth. They just share what they think they have to, or they just share what they think the public will buy into.
So silver futures traded 7.3% higher at 28.87 an ounce at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time. The metal previously traded up around 11%, which would have marked the largest one-day pop in silver on the NYMEX since 13% spike in March of 2009. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this, and we know a whole bunch of people that are out there trying to get some silver right now.
Yes, as they should, I feel.
Well, it's real if it's actually in your hands.
Yep.
Again, if you have like certificates, they're not real.
Well, I think you can still go to banks and get those old silver dollars, and sometimes you get lucky and you get the ones that are real, real silver.
Yes. And
Yes.
the banking situation, that's something that needs to be redone. This whole system needs to go, as we know, and we've spoken about so many times when we look really deep into how it's constructed. And earthquake swarm under Cumbre Vieja. This is the second time we're talking about this in like a month or so. A new earthquake swarm started under the Cumbre Vieja volcano, and this is on La Palma in Spain's Canary Islands on January 31st. This is the second swarm of earthquakes in the area since December 23rd, and the eighth since 2017. So this is of note because this is the one where we've talked about that there's a slope that could crumble, just like there is also one over in the Hawaiian Islands as well. And some scientists say that this could create a tsunami that'd be 100 feet or more all around the whole Atlantic basin.
That's huge.
Yeah, so this is one that, especially when I was living in the Carolinas or Florida, I always really watched. So, interesting that we have a second swarm so quick, but, we'll keep an eye on it and definitely. Again, this is one that I always keep my eye out for.
I would too.
And we do have another swarm too going on, and this is in Spain, and this is north of Granada, Spain, all around Granada actually, as we're going to take a look at. So this is another swarm. There's been some interesting quakes and some interesting swarming activity going on right now. So a series of shallow earthquakes are shaking the area northwest of the city of Granada, Spain, since the beginning of December 2020. The activity re-intensified at the end of January with more than 1,000 earthquakes since January 23rd. Major earthquakes have occurred throughout history in the province of Granada. The oldest known occurred in 1431 with a macroseismic intensity of 8 to 9, producing great damage in Alhambra. So this is another curious swarm going on, and we need to jump over to CSEM because, USGS doesn't really do much with following what's going on over in Europe or even over in Mexico, for that matter. So here we see the area that we're talking about, and I've never been there, though I can only imagine it's one of the more beautiful places on the planet. Love to see the Mediterranean at some point in time. That would be a bucket list, but we could see the activity over here. And then if we look over towards the Canary Islands, we see the activity over there as well. And of course, I think it was about 2 years ago, there was I don't know if it was a scientist or it was a researcher that came out with the idea that part of Atlantis is actually in this part of Africa as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have all these quakes going on, but I recall the last couple days the Schumann has been being pretty active.
Yeah, it was about 3 days ago, going absolutely bonkers. As you can see, this is the area that we're talking about, and you see all the quake activity going on.
Doesn't it almost looks like a grid type?
It, yeah, I could see that. It
Yeah.
it does look, well, it does look rather uniform,
Does look
does it
scary,
not?
doesn't it? It does, yeah.
You know, this world is pretty wild. We do live in a matrix, quote unquote, of
Mhm.
sorts, and as we jump over to USGS here and get that to load, there are a couple curious ones that stuck out to me. This is pretty strong down here. We have a 5.6, and this is 82 kilometers south-southeast of Guyana. And, a little bit in and off the plate, pretty decent sized quake. You don't see them there all the time. We have had, a lot of activity in the usual places. And as I've, mentioned to you guys before, when me and Cindy were traveling down, we came through Dallas. Well, I've done both ways. And, when you get over in here, all you see is fracking. Same thing when you go in through Oklahoma, though I know they're working on wind power. Good for them now. That's great. One of the areas that we really like as far as a good safe zone that's inexpensive and, has a lot of opportunities is, southern Missouri, western Arkansas, and eastern Oklahoma. But, we do see there are some quakes that come into this area. How big, could they get? Well, that's an interesting question to posit. But we have seen some quakes in the fives over here in recent times, though not usually this far west, more like in the plains area. And of course, New Madrid is, at some point in time going to be an issue, and that's, over here north of Memphis, south of St. Louis, and west of Nashville. And we do have a quake over here, a 2.1, and this is 4 kilometers south of Tunnel Hill, Georgia. Lots of activity down here as usual in Southern California, and still swarming going on west of Tonopah, China Lake, as we have been seeing for a long time now. Now we do have Tropical Cyclone Anna hitting Fiji, leaving at least one person dead and 5 missing. And I just want to give you some of the headlines from Electroverse. The islands of Bermuda and Guam break low temperature records. We are seeing a lot of record lows being broke. And in places of lower and lower latitudes here. So it's interesting. But again, we've seen a split in the polar vortex. And there's going to be some seriously cold weather coming into the U.S. this upcoming week.
Yeah, it's the cold weather that seems to be happening more and more often.
So, Electroverse is all about grand solar minimum. So, in their mind, it's completely the evidence that we're heading into a period of prolonged cooling, mini ice age. And then, of course, you get the mainstream like, NASA and NOAA and the like that are telling us it's just like that Twilight Zone, again, are we heading towards the sun? Or are we heading away from the sun, right? We have extremes for sure, though instinctively and from everything I've read, I do feel ultimately we're going to be getting colder. And we see Winter Storm Orlena is pummeling the Northeast with historic snowfall. New York City, they're showing here 24 plus inches. I was just seeing the most recent update of, maybe around 18 inches. We're going to have to see how this plays out. Could be that Boston really just gets kind of rain and sleet, but you never know how this moves. And then we see California. Now, this has had that atmospheric river coming through. Stalled atmospheric river on steroids delivers 4 feet of snow in 24 hours. Wow, that's a lot of snow right there.
That's a lot of snow. Wow, wow, wow.
And shifting gears, this guy is putting chips into monkeys' brains so they could play video games without even having to use a controller.
Well, he's just now admitting it anyway.
Yeah, and there are those that even wonder if he's human.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there, guys. If have you ever seen his significant other? Because if there's anybody that does have a really like half reptilian Anunnakian vibe to it, plus this guy's overtaken everybody as far as the riches. He's really on his ascension path as far as the wealth and power goes.
Well, at least ascension in kind of a technological kind of way, anyway.
Yeah, so putting chips in monkeys, and of course that's how everything starts, right?
Yep.
And personally, I feel like I know animals have souls, they have emotions, they have feelings. So I don't believe they're here for us to be using and abusing.
Right.
And here you see high-tech brain implants the size of a salt grain could let people choose their own mood. So you want to program yourself? I mean, do you think anybody would hack in and program you if you were so chipped?
Oh, of course they would, yeah.
Scientists in South Korea have suppressed cocaine-induced behavior in rats injected with the drug using the chips, even working out how to charge them remotely. All this is just, one more step towards Borgdom.
It really is, you guys. This is getting disturbing.
It is. Yeah, well, just look at DARPA and look at some of the projects that they've done over time. And yeah, disturbing is definitely the word. So, we have this beautiful organic process going on where our consciousness is raising if it was left alone. And then, of course, we have all the interference going on all around us by these powers that be that want to keep things exactly the way they've been, or even, obviously, ratchet things up to all new levels nowadays.
Well, definitely. Whenever I see something like this where they're using technology to create something in a human, I know that all they're doing is covering up our organic abilities that are rising to the surface.
Yes, yes. As we've talked about revisionist history as well, I mean, there's so much. I was looking at an old video that we did about 2 years ago talking about different lineages. And, we're going to revisit some of those things. I'm going to redo some topics that, it's been a while since we've talked about how things go. And we'll get into that as well. But it is so interesting to see how, it's kept all in the family, so to speak.
It really, really is, yes.
There is a reason for that as well. DNA, blood, vibrations, frequency.
Portals, yeah.
Exactly. Well, guys, thank you so much for being part of the family. Make sure you are subscribed, and thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon, because we couldn't do it without you in these times. As always, stay prepared out there. Stay positive. We're going to come out of this on top. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.